Hey guys, welcome back. So for today's video I want to take a look at Tom Riddle's transition into Lord Voldemort and discuss basically, was it truly destined to be that way? Was it always on the cards that this young boy who sat there in front of Albus Dumbledore in Wold's Orphanage all those years ago would go on to become the most powerful dark wizard of all time? It's not really a surprise to learn that Voldemort red hot stamped his name into the very depths of wizarding folklore, and despite his defeat, the odds are highly unlikely that we'll ever see an individual who will go to those heights again. I want to talk about the alternative option. Was there a chance to save him? Could he have been helped? What exactly was needed to prevent him becoming Lord Voldemort? I take a deep look into young Riddle's psyche and analyse, could he have been saved if he had been given the right nurturing? We all know Voldemort's story, it is incredibly written, and it's something that I sometimes sit there and think about. What if this had happened to me? How would I have felt if I were in Tom's shoes? If we take a look at the situation surrounding his birth, he literally never had a chance from the moment he was conceived, never mind from the moment he was born. His father had no interest in his mother, they were not meant to ever have any sort of a relationship. Tom Sr. would not have stooped below his own level of what was an acceptable woman to bring into his life. Just on a side note guys, I really would like to know how Tom Sr. was tricked into even entering Merope Gaunt's home, even before she gave him the love potion. Or what about how she administered it to him? Did she offer him a drink? Why would he even accept the drink? Then of course I thought, okay, the Imperious Curse would have done the trick. He often rode by on his horse, what a perfect opportunity to enchant him, then drug him. The reason I'm highlighting all of this guys is just to show how unnatural everything was that led to Tom's birth. It was completely unnatural, it was never meant to happen, he was never meant to be born, never meant to become Lord Voldemort, which I think supports my theory and belief that the birth of Harry Potter was the universe's way of balancing the scales. As soon as that potion wore off, after months of guilt on Merope's behalf, Tom Sr. immediately came to his senses, and after realising what had happened, completely abandoned his wife and unborn child, a baby he never willingly agreed to conceive. He then went back to his parents, who they themselves were deeply distraught at their son's unexplained actions, and now this pregnant woman, who wasn't long from giving birth, just loses the will to continue living. So Tom is born in the orphanage and remains there from day one, never knowing a mother or father, never knowing a family, wondering why he had to live in a big house with lots of other kids who are also in the same position. It was also pretty common for families to adopt from orphanages, so it's entirely possible, although not confirmed, that Tom may have watched as other kids were taken off to live with new families. Tom experienced confusion, followed by bitterness from a very young age. Why him? What was it about him that his parents didn't want? It couldn't be explained to him because nobody knew about his family situation, nobody had a clue. He hated the world for what had happened to him. He never had the experience of a parent's discipline. In his eyes, he was unwanted. It was at this point where he decided to assert his own dominance. He would take all the things that weren't given to him, hence his collection of items from the children in the orphanage. It was only when Tom noticed he could do things far beyond reasonable explanation that the darker side of his personality emerged. Then a man called Albus Dumbledore comes to see him and tells him all about the wonder of Hogwarts and that he is in fact magical. That while Tom may have been denied certain things in his short life so far, he was born with the gift of magic. Now as soon as Dumbledore sees Tom's indecent behaviour, it immediately creates a distrust in him towards the boy. Where Tom needed nurture and support, he got Dumbledore's unease when the man was around him. I know it's not Dumbledore's job to be a father, but if he had been with Tom the way he was with Harry, then I believe, Tom could have had a better chance of growing into a human who had morals, of which we all know he didn't. Tom needed a father figure, someone who would not let him dictate or control a situation in which he was too young to do so, and to let him know the difference between right and wrong. Dumbledore simply told Tom that thievery would not be tolerated at Hogwarts, but he never explained to Tom why the act itself is wrong. As soon as Tom learned he was magical, he became fixated on the idea that he was special, because he was never made feel anything else but the opposite. It became his choice to be a loner. He doesn't understand the nature of his exceptionalism, and Dumbledore really lets him down. I feel like he could have done more. Albus sees a lot of similarities within himself and Tom, and he could have used that to help the boy understand certain aspects of how to portray himself. Dumbledore assumes that because he, in his own assessment, eventually won his own battle with his lust for power and found the path of morality, that Tom could easily do the same and should grow out of his current immature, immoral state of mind, rather than realizing that Tom wanted to become the best wizard he could be, even if that meant he surpassed Dumbledore. And not everyone can overcome and cope with the upbringing the boy had. Tom evidently needed help in finding his way. Despite his protests that he needed no one, Albus still should have seen this as a sure sign of how much help Tom truly needed in learning how to respect and to be respected. Instead of recognizing Tom's abilities as those of which could be developed through his encouragement and support, and additionally through explaining to Tom that the situation did not need to define him in terms of how he perceived the world, Dumbledore just viewed him as dangerous, which in turn was basically allowing Tom to be dangerous. Yeah, he clearly perceived that Tom was an exceptionally powerful and brilliant wizard, and he's never met anyone like Tom, not unless he looked in the mirror, such was their similarities, and almost certainly knows from the first moment that Tom has certain profound mental abilities that even he does not. Albus, due to his unique position in Tom's life, not only as the first person of magical blood Tom openly meets in his entire time at the orphanage, and the teacher who sought him out and recruited him for Hogwarts, but the boys' side built Tom's trust and respect by openly acknowledging the difficulty and the basic discomfort of being just different from even the other talented wizards. He could have mentored Tom in pushing the boundaries of magic in a highly moral fashion, and could have helped Tom explore life with someone who cared for him and work at his side. He could have trained Tom for academic life, seeing rightly that Tom, like Albus himself, had both supreme talent and overall passion for experimental magical science, with little interest in the standard political games, no patience for operating under a seemingly corrupt government. Albus could have been instrumental in helping Tom find a place in the wizarding world, and could have been what he needed in order to prevent the young boy becoming Lord Voldemort. Thank you so much for watching, have a great day, and I'll see you all very soon.